Hello again. This is the Watering Man. Spiritual Toolbox number 76. The Love Chapter number 52. Audio recording number 394. Examination table number 56. Okay. Just a little stuff there. We'll get through it. Now, I'm continuing in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. Okay, I've been covering this. I'm going to continue. Okay, now start off reading it from the King James Version. Okay, it says, "Doth not behave itself unseemly," which I've covered in previous recordings. "Seeketh not her own," covered that in other recordings, other videos. "Is not easily provoked," covered that in other videos. "And thinketh no evil." I started this. I'm going to continue in that. Okay. All right. Okay. Thinketh not her own, or thinketh no evil, I'm sorry. Thinketh no evil. Okay. And the first word here in the interlinear Bible, looking from the original language and bringing it out and trying to interpret it and show you. I'm trying to show a dichotomy from both sides, agreeing and disagreeing with God's right-mindedness in the middle of these storms of our lives, in the eye of these tornadoes, eye of these storms, okay? Where we have to make a decision, agree in hot pursuit with God or disagree. Anything but being in hot pursuit of God's love, being in God's right-mindedness, His righteousness, is disagree. Okay? Now, starts off here on this one, absolutely not. Ooh, yuck, OU, 3756. They translate that as no in the King James Version, but it's much more. It's, ooh, yuck, this is absolutely not the love of God. Okay? And then thinketh no evil, okay? Thinketh, this is, ooh, yuck. This yuck thinking, okay? And I want to do both positive and negative here. Try to. Now, so know and then thinketh. We started on this word last time. I'm going to go farther into it. It's number 3049. It's translated in the King James Version as thinketh. And it's Logizomai. It's this word.
Strong's G 3049.
Logizomai. Okay. And we've covered down through it a little ways, but we'll go a little deeper. Okay. It's a verb. It's from the middle voice from 3056. Okay. Now, let's see here. That was to find fault in the person. There's this negative stuff that, ew, yuck, that's not allowed by God. That's not God's love. Because God's love is just like what Jesus said on the cross in Luke chapter 23, verse 34. "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing." It's an acquittal. Okay? Or like Stephen was saying when he was being stoned to death. You know? And he was dying by those old Jews and Pharisees and all that crap. Throwing rocks at him, crushing his head, biting on him, gnawing on it, At the end of Acts chapter 7. "Father, lay not this sin, this missing of the mark, this offense, this error to their charge." That's pretty tough to do, right? All right. Now that's not finding fault. That's God's right-mindedness, being in hot pursuit of trying to be like that yourself. Not condemning and stuff. Because, if you're condemning, you're not in Christ Jesus. You're not resting and relying upon God. The battle is the Lord's. You're taking it like the battle is yours. You got to do something. You got to do, good or bad. It's poop thinking. It's from the wrong tree. It's from the tree of it's from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It's not from the tree of life, in that pipeline of God's love beyond words, right? All right, so showing this agreement into from my love all the way in and SYM, relying upon God's righteousness, God's love to bring you through this stuff. The battle is the Lord's, and being in union with this love in your mind, right? And not being disagreeing in any way, shape, or form. Anything that being in a hot pursuit of that other is disagreeing. Okay? And this logizomai here is like to estimate it, to take to count it, to to reckon it, like, estimate that this is this thought process inside of me. Is this agreeing in hot pursuit with God and God's love beyond words, or is it disagreeing? Or is it just trying to stay neutral, which is disagreeing? Because it can't go in there except be in hot pursuit of God's love beyond words. And this love is a correcting love. It's not just a wishy-washy appease. No. Okay? Alright. No. Cover that. No. This word, logizomai, comes from the middle voice from 3056, okay? And we started in this one. Logos.
Strong's G 3056. Logos.
Now it's a masculine noun, and it's from 3004. 3004, okay? We'll get there a little bit. This one might take a little bit, okay? I started on it last time, but we'll get more, because this is kind of like the thought processes. Okay? Are they in agreement with God in hot pursuit, or are they in disagreement? You got to take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ, and not take every thought captive to the obedience of that old alpha dog, that old beast nature, that old parakeet going all kinds of stupid stuff in your mind, that non-spiritual carnal mind. Okay? Don't listen to that. When you found the good fruit from the Spirit of God exists, eat that, partake in that. Don't turn back for that other crap. Okay? Then you turn like into a pillar of salt, like Lot's wife. Useless and detestable. It's BS. It's dung. You're going back to your dung thinking. In other words, in short. You can't live, go on, you can't proceed through that eye of the needle. Turn back and trying to salvage any of your old stinking thinking. That stuff, your righteousness, your stinking thinking, is this filthy minstrous rags. Okay, Isaiah 64:6. And in Isaiah 30, verse 19 through 22, it's, ooh, yuck, just get that stuff out. Throw it away, burn it away. Alright? Agree into hot pursuit with God. Yes, sir, Father God. Chop this stuff out and bring me back into your existence. See? And always in the upper manner, it's burning that stuff out. And then it's melting it, refining it out. See, consuming fire, refining fire. It's melting those impurities out. He's bringing you back in and SY in God's right-mindedness. God's love beyond words. Correctly. It's right. It's lining up with God's right-mindedness. Not your own alpha dog's right-mindedness. Your own ego. I'm wrong. I couldn't possibly be wrong. I couldn't possibly be off the mark. And you got your back towards what God's wanting, what God's will is. His desire, his purpose, and you're shooting your efforts, your arrows, all out here in the wrong direction. It's laughable how stupid you are. In your mind, how stupid a person is. They believe that big pile of manure. And all it's doing is bringing up the old weeds and briars and all this stuff. Yeah, that's good stuff. Watch me eat that stuff. Trying to eat a bunch of briars. That's just dumb. Okay? Get your mind right. Doing about face, go right back into God full bore in hot pursuit, right? Now, this Logos. I got some greens and reds highlighted here. I wore out my red one there. I wanted to get another one. So it helps me to keep on track, okay? Alright, now, so this Logos is something said including the thought processes, the mental faculty. And the faculty is one's own cognitive perceptual powers of the mind. Okay, and that cognitive is relating to the mental processes of perception, mercy, judgment, that's condemnation, or an acquittal, right? Agreeing to God, or disagreeing with God, condemnation. You're condemning, you're looking down your long, sturdy nose. If Sparta or Buford better than you, take your own temperature, then you're condemning, and you're not in God. There is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. Okay? You yuck, get it out if it's in there. Ooh, that's not being the prayers of a right-minded man. Huh? Communication with God, those requests, those wishes to God. Not going to be, that's just yuck if you're doing that, looking down your long nose and stuff, condemning. Oh, crap. That's not what God's about. Because Jesus was a pattern son. He was saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. Okay. So this cognitive is your mental processes of perception, mercy, judgment, and reasoning, as contrasted with emotional and volitional processes. Now, emotional, woo, good, bad. No, it's just steady as she goes, right in God's pipeline with that dense, heavy character, dense, heavy water of God is. Not going up and down. No. It's the waters of thought processes of God, the spiritual word, right? Talking about this Logos. Not having this carnal waters. Woo, up here real good. Oh, I'm grandiose. Woo, down here I'm lower in dirt, right? That's poop. That's yuck. Very lightweight stuff. Tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine, every teaching, every pressures. Someone else doing something bad. That's them. If God directs you to help them, and then you can help them. If not, better keep your nose to all of it. Okay? Now, it also says it's emotional or volitional processes. Okay, this volitional is done with a conscious, personal choice. It's not based on external principles, on all these pressures outside. It's not accidental. So all this emotional crap and doing it deliberately, like per optima, the intentional or unintentional side slip or error that they translate as sin. One of the two words they translate as sin or sins or sinful and blah, blah, blah. It's just missing the mark. And that's where you do it intentionally or unintentionally. Okay, it's not if it's not an accident, all this stuff. That's all talking about this logos, your thought process, where you're disagreeing with God, knowingly or not knowingly. It's still disagreeing with God. If God gives you the ability to hear intelligently and obey, not only with the intention to obey, but you actually obey. You follow through with it, and you proceed and exist, 1 to 2 to 4 to 8, all these strands being braided into a stronger and stronger rope. Inside, you're getting stronger and stronger and stronger about hearing the voice of God and obeying it. Okay? These are volitional processes where you're doing it deliberately in hot pursuit into God, or you're doing it going away from God, disagreeing with God. Things riding the storms of life. Okay? And the Thayers, this logos, let me get down here so we verify this stuff. I've done verified it. Okay, Thayer's Greek Lexicon. Okay, it's like those things which are put together in thought. Okay, like you're calculating it, counting it, and organizing it, and trying to make out a plan. And you're going in hot pursuit of God's love beyond words, or if you're planning, scheming, manipulating, trying to manipulate God. But it's a good thing. Notice my hand doing this means, that's a sneaky snake thing. You're trying to get by with something. Trying to use excuses. Oh, well, that was just me. I didn't mean that. You're trying to find the easy way out. God, you can't do that. With God, there's no way you can pull one over on him. Pull a fast one. Okay? You're going to get it. You're not going to get that by. It's absolute denial. Okay? Ooh, yuck. Absolute negation. Okay? Now, those things which are put together in thought, and those of which having been thought. Just thinking about it. You think it in your heart to do it, in your mind, in your thought processes, you meditate, you proceed, you partake in that stuff, you focus on that stuff. What's it going to do? Ooh, yuck, poop. You pooping in your mind. You're concentrating on poop. Whether it's a good poop or a bad poop. Good or evil. It's yuck. Right? And you say, ooh, yuck, and turn from that. Now wipe your butt with that thing. Ooh, yuck. Get away from it. Get back into the right-mindedness of God in hot pursuit. I don't want that stuff. That stuff, man, is just burn that stuff up. Get it of the way. I don't care. Do whatever you gotta do. Put that in the sewer system. Right? That's your own righteousness. Ooh, it's filthy, stinking rags. It's like poop, okay? Now, this, whether you're gathering that poop thinking together in the mind, see, that's in that Thayers. Yeah, all that, I'm showing you. That's that. Or you're gathering that together, or you're heading back into, from out of that poop thinking, towards into and in, resting in God, the battles of God, battles of the Lord's, and in union with God's right-mindedness, in union with his love beyond words. See, he's bringing you back, giving you that ability to love him as he first loved you, and as he does love you. Okay? Now, this is when you're thinking it in your mind, and also are expressed in words. Well, it says here, down in there, I'll find it here. It's down here. Don't have glasses on, but it's down there. I wrote it down. Boy, there's a lot here. Well, I wrote it down right straight out of the book, okay? All of this, okay? It's a twofold thing. You're disagreeing or you're agreeing or disagreeing, okay? And it's used of one that relates to speaking or one that relates to thinking. Where you speak or you think as you just think it, or you speak and put it into actions. You're doing it. It's both, okay? Twofold. It's that logos. You're putting together, you're either sowing to the flesh or sowing to the spirit. Okay? You sow to the fleshly thinking, you die. You be separated from God. Get out of here. Alright? You sow to the spirit, you reap that life and peace. Okay? Rejoining peace there. Rejoining back into that quiet, wonderful love. That awesome love. That's those waters flowing in that pipe. That dense, heavy character of God. That glorious nature, character, and authority. That glorious logos. The way God thinks. Not that old poop thinking, the way that carnal mind pushes you to think. Okay? Now, also in this, down in this logos, we're going down in it, okay? Is one's spoken words and even one's unspoken thoughts of the mind are in agreement with God's right-mindedness, love beyond words, the way God thinks, or it's disagreeing with God's right-mindedness. Poop thinking. Okay? Now, that word logos, we'll scroll way down here. There's a lot on that word in here. I'm just touching some. Okay? And you get on down there, and that's from 3004. Okay? Okay, now this word's a root word. So we're getting down down to where the root of this thing is, okay? These are like the thought processes of your old carnal nature or the thought processes of God, which is what we want to feed from, the tree of life. Not this tree of the knowledge of good and evil, okay? Yuck, that's yuck, stinking righteousness, stinking thinking, okay? Now, this is the word 3004, and it's Lego, L-E-G-O.
Strong's G 3004. Lego.
Lego. Get a little drink here. Okay. Now, that's a verb, a root word is is to relate in words, usually systematic or a set discourse. Like putting all this thing together and systematically or through like to articulate it out. Or like a plan toward going in hot pursuit of God. Or trying to manipulate or trying to just agree with your own right-mindedness for good or evil thing. Okay? Now, this systematic is an adjective. It's having, showing, or involving a system or method or plan. Having a plan to articulate one's thought processes is what that is, okay? It's to articulate is to utter clearly and distinctly, to be able to be capable of speech, be competent, okay? Speaking the spiritual word of God competently, because you're EN and SYN in these areas of your thinking. You're not a baby leader or a brephos, a nepios, a pation, not even a technon, like a teenager that thinks he knows. You're up, getting up, whatever level up to a weos, a mature son, a 30-year-old, like Jesus Christ, and coming right back EN and SYN to the Father, like a high priest. Okay, and not necessarily just your chronological age. Okay, this is in the spirit. You come from all the way back EN and SYN, God, in these areas of your thinking process, so you know what you're talking about. This good news, this gospel is yours by experience, by trial, test, all this stuff, fire trials. God's purified it. Gotten rid of a bunch of garbage in it, and you see you're coming into. You're all the way back down. EN and SYN, you're relied upon God. It's His battle. Okay? You're this being able to speak, articulate out the thought processes of God. Because you're in there. You're like in that pipeline where that heavy, dense water, the thought processes of God. That's what you're speaking out. You'll know a tree by the fruit it bears. This person, by that fruit it's bearing. And what fruit is it bearing? If it's bearing this old stinking condemnation crap, that's not the right tree. All fear and all this stuff, tyrannical stuff and all this junk, all this stuff from them, like the Ite nations, those nations of Deuteronomy 7:1. That are the Girgashites, the Perizzites, all these things. Hittite, Hivite, Jebusite, all these, there's 7 of them. Stronger, mightier than you, that's that carnal crap. Fear, violence, it's lying, independent. I gotta do it myself. Battles the Lord's. But you do have to work out your own salvation. You, not fear and trembling, reverence, honor, respect of God. Recognizing He's the hero. His love is the exceeding great reward. Not your bull crap thinking. When that lines up with God, EN and SYN, God, it's powerful. Okay? The other stuff is just a bunch of wishy-washy bull crap. Ooh, sticky glue. Tar, okay? If a person is still trying to fly and run, as in Isaiah chapter 40, verse 30 and 31, fast, a little slower to slowing down, right? Fly, run, walk, back into God. If you're still out there in this fly stuff, you're not yet matured in each and every thought process. You got to take those things captive to the obedience of Christ and go right back through the eye of the needle. Exist. Keep on keeping on. Let God strengthen you. Okay? Get the log, that beam out of your own eye, your own vision, your own seeing, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. Get that big eye, that ego out of there, so you can see clearly to help get the splinter out of your brother's eye. Because Christ is in control in this area of your thinking. And then those prayers, those petitions, those wishes, those things are from experience from right EN and SYN, God. And that's helping your brother with that. Because your primary focus is getting that stinking thinking out of their mind. It's not just this external stuff. All this, that, yeah, all that. That's just maybe God using that as a catalyst to help them make they're giving them an opportunity to make a decision to come back into God. They're not just looking at just heal their hand, heal their foot, heal their hangnail or whatever. Look on beyond that. Your will be done, Father. See, like Jesus said, if it be, let this cup pass from me, but let nevertheless not my will, but your will be done. And He's going to the cross. Okay? It's God's will be done, not my will be done. Okay? Now, as you fly or run in an area of your thinking, then these areas of thoughts are not ready to be articulated out in a clear plan yet. Okay? If you're still trying to run and rush and to help, to take care of every need and all this stuff, you're still like a youth. Okay? From a baby up to an adolescent or even an adolescent, all the way up to a 30-year-old. You're not quite ready yet. You're working yourself to death out of your own might and power. You're not yet EN and SYN God. Better leave it alone. Unless God tells you to, and then He'll direct you. He'll direct your path. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not upon your own understanding, and God will direct your path. Okay? This would be like the breath-lossing, all this patient, technon wheels, nepios. They can't even speak the words of God. Simple-minded, immature, non-speaking 0 to 2-year-old baby trying to teach somebody. You got a big old log in their eye. Get it out. Get it out! Right? In hot pursuit, emphatically, you press into God. Then when you're rested and relying in God and His righteousness, then you can help. If God directs you. Okay? You can look in Luke chapter 6 on this how things are.